Paul Pasolka, IB Masters Learning Center at ibmasters.com, and today we're going to look at the 41st question for Digital SAT Test 1 Potato Version Math, and it reads, for the linear function f, and the table showed 3 values of x and the corresponding values for f of x. Function f is defined by f of x equals ax plus b, where a and b are constants, value of a minus b. So you might know this as, this is the same as, I'm going to write it over here, y equals mx plus b. And so your m is your slope, so here it's called a, same thing. Your b is your y-intercept, and you can see b is your y-intercept. Now, if you're awesome at this, I'll show you what you could do, and then I'll show you kind of a more formal way of doing it as well. So first off, the slope. Slope is rise over run. So the rise is always the y. So how much do we rise from here to here? We rise 64. How much do we rise from here to here? We rise 1. So that's going to be your slope. It's 64. Now, if you don't realize that, then what you could do is you could do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That will give you your slope anytime you have two coordinates. In this case, we've got 64 minus 0 over 3 minus 2, which is going to be 64 over 1, which is just 64. So based on that, we know that your slope is 61. What's our slope here? We said if it's f of x equals ax plus b, so your a equals 64. That's a 6. It's a terrible 6, but that's a 6. Okay. We need your y-intercept. Your y-intercept is where x is 0. So again, if you're awesome at this, you may be able just to look at this little table and tell what your y-intercept is. Well, if you notice, when you go backwards, when you go from 3 to 2, you're subtracting 1. And then you go from 2 to 1, you're subtracting another 1. Well, if I went one more back, I'd get to 0. Let's see what happens to our x from 64 to 0. We go minus 64. From 0 to negative 64, we go minus another 64. From negative 64, if we subtract another 64, wind up negative 128. So you could see that your y is negative 128. Let's say you didn't know your y. Then what you could do is you could take any coordinate there. You take your y equals mx plus b, which is, both of these are the same. And in place of y, you could put 0 equals, in place of m, you could put 2. What am I doing? I'm taking the second coordinate. It has a 0, so it should be a little bit easier to work with. And then I'm looking for my y-intercept. So in place of slope, actually, I'm putting 64. Let me erase that just so it's all lined up. So actually your slope is 64, and then your x there is 2, and it's plus b. And then you get 0 equals 128 plus b. And then if I subtract 128 from both sides, this cancels. And sure enough, I get b equals negative 128. Well, if your a is 64 and your b is negative 28, then a minus b is going to be 64 minus negative 128. And so what do you get? A negative. When you subtract a negative, you add a positive. So you wind up with 192. D is your answer. Thank you for joining us today. If you like this video, click like. You could share it with someone who has trouble with linear equation stuff, slope and y-intercept stuff. Is there any question you'd like to see answered from any official PSAT or SAT or ACT? Leave that in the comments. I'd be happy to shoot a video on it. Click subscribe so you don't miss anything, and check out our 1-minute video on TikTok. Have a great day.